Hello everybody, we're back and we're starting to make some progress. So I want to cover a few things here. So looking at the diagram of the underside, you'll notice that the tube sockets don't have numbers. They've got letters. And there's your second detector, and there's your audio filter, and there's your rectifier. There's no numbers. What's that all about, right? So let's see. F is filament, that's easy. And P is your plate, right there. This is your screen. This is your control screen. That's your cathode. So they're not numbered. But you know that when you read a tube on a schematic, it's always clockwise. And you know your filament is going to be 1 and 6 on a 6-pin tube. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Easy, right? Same thing is true here, right? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and so on and so on. So this diagram is a little bit different. Now, taking a look at the schematic, you'll see that they don't have any numbers or markings at all. Okay? So here's your filament, or your heaters, right? So there's 1. But that's a little bit different. So what I did was, I drew this diagram to identify what's what. So there's my filaments, there's my cathode, there's my grid cap, there's my control screen, there's my plate, there's my screen grid. Just so I know when I connect these things up that I'm following it the right way. So this is a little hint for you. You know, not every schematic is going to have numbers. Not every schematic is going to be the same. They're going to be different. And you're going to see things like these designators here. So just something for you to look out for. Okay, anyway, so where we are is I decided I was going to go ahead and connect the filament wires. Okay, so if you look at the schematic, there's your 2.5 volt red, and there's all your tubes, right? Those are your filament windings right here, right? And it connects to the dial light. So basically, I take one side of the transformer and go here and here. Same thing here, and then you'll notice on this one there's a little chute that goes off the ground, and also over here, and then we connect the light. So let's see what that looks like. So here's where my transformer comes in, right here. And the 2 red wires on the transformer are going to connect right here on these 2 reds. I've marked them with a red marker. But I haven't soldered anything yet because I got to put the transformer in. But what I did do is connect wires to the next tube, which is the 57. Right? So you'll see I've got one here, getting ready to go to that tube, one here. And I also have this ground connected, which goes to nowhere at the moment, which represents this. I then take my wires, go back over here to the other 57, and connect them again to the 2 filaments. There's the red right there on the top of those, right there. See? Now, looking at the schematic, you'll see the dial light is there, and this one is the ground. So I've got that connected right here. This black wire goes right there. And the yellow wire, which we can trace all the way back up to my dial light, right there, comes up, goes to the dial light, and you'll see I've got some heat strip on it, but there's the yellow. So really, I've got my my dial light all connected, and I've got all my heaters connected at this point. I just have to connect the transformer over on this 2A5 tube, which is the AF tube. So I have to get the transformer in there, but I'm going to do that last because I want to keep this thing, you know, upside down like this so I can work on it. If I put the transformer on there, I got to stand it up on something. So we've just started getting that done. And I've got to clean these up, and you'll see that I've got some jumpers here. I haven't soldered these in yet, obviously, but I've got a jumper here and a jumper here. And I'll show you what that's all about. So if you look at the first 57 tube, you'll notice that there's a line that comes down here from the control screen and goes all the way to the cathode. Okay? control screen, cathode. Same thing over here on the first detector. Control screen, cathode. There's a jumper wire that goes between those two portions. If you look at the 2AF, there is no jumper, okay? So that's what that jumper is on the tube socket. So I basically just installed a hard jumper there between the cathode and the control screen. And that was there on the original radio when I took it apart. I cleaned all the sockets off, if you recall. So I've got that little piece of jumper wire there, which I'll solder in when the time is appropriate. So that's why I have these marked in yellow, in orange. So starting to make some progress here with the orange, right? So we've got the rectifier, which I haven't touched yet. And probably will end up doing that last because I'm not going to put the transformer in yet. And then I've got the 2.5 rail, which are my filaments. And I've got my dial light connected. Once I get this ground connected, which is this wire here again, this black wire, I'll connect that and I'll color that in. So that part's done. So I think what I'm going to do next is start to focus on this tube right here, the 2AF tube, and start to build my network of how I'm going to connect things with terminal blocks and that kind of thing. So this is going to take a little bit more time. I have a question for everybody. So I took a look at all the caps and the resistors that I have on this thing. So there's all the caps, right? And there's all the resistors. But I have a question about one of them that maybe someone can answer for me. So taking a look at the schematic, which is right, let me find the spot where it is. I believe it was C4. So it's a capacitor. So C4 is, let's see, there's C5, there's C4. What is that? 125 microfarads. What would that equate to from a capacitor perspective? I have the same question, I believe, on C3. And if I look at C3, which we'll have to find here, let's see where C3 is. There's C2, there's C3. 250 microfarads. Now if you look at a standard regular capacitor here, you'll see it's 0.05 microfarads. So this is a value that I'm not particularly sure what it is, but I'll do my research. But in case any of you know, we know that M could be, is microfarads, but what is MMF? Don't really know that. That could be picofarads, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, I'll do my research, but if any of you know, just leave it in the comment box. So that's where we are. So again, we're going to focus on the 2A5 tube next, and start to get some of those wires connected, right? And you'll see here, the top is the plate, according to my nifty diagram that I've got here, right? So the top right here equates to the top here, plate. So there's my plate, and I know by looking at this diagram at the 2A5 tube, there's the plate, right? You see it? You see how they do it? So that should be easy for me to figure out, but you have to make yourselves visual. This is how you learn. And then obviously over here, I've got my control screen right there. I've got my grid cap and my cathode, etc., etc., etc. Anyway, that's where I am for now. That's going to be all I do today. I'm going to be planning out the rest of how I attack this section. But I wanted to share the update on the heater connections, the filament connections, and see if any of you can give me some clues as to what that's about and what that's about. Okay? All right, everybody. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. This is Ron.